Hi, this will be the second part of the horizon picking, and I want to point out that this is where we left it with four horizon lines, and we'd like to just make a quick change. I'm going to go up and take the red lines off up here, and I'm going to put the horizon grid. So this is now the grid that covers the whole area in the squares for this particular project. Okay, now we have several things we can look at here. One of them is we can come over to the 3D window. I'm going to do so, and it looks like we have all of these lines that were horizons that were picked went only as far as the red seismic section coming off. I want to emphasize that actually part of this is underneath all of this. So as we go down, we can actually with this use this feature, which is to manipulate a plane. In this case, it's the time, so that we can actually move this down. And now we can see, if I go back to the hand and go back up, then we're looking just above this particular surface. So you're really seeing more and providing more horizon picking than you might have imagined. Now at this point we just have the red colors that are here. We do have color maps that we can use to work with this. So I'm going to go up to this area, and this will be in the Flat Rock Horizon grid, and I'm going to double click that. I'm going to see by chance the colors as one of the tabs up in the on the top of this page, and it's in global colored table, but what we're seeing is nothing but the red, which happens to be at the end of this particular picture. So I'm going to hit the local private color table. I'm going to go to keep old local color table and let's put this in place. And then we want to see this auto scale color table to data. And the auto scale means that it just takes whatever the maximum data from whatever it is that's doing a color scale to the other end. So I'm going to hit OK with this, and what do you know? We end up with the surfaces in which they have colors. I'm going to take the seismic out for just a little bit here so that we can see what this looks like. We have everything from the purples and violets all along one side of this all the way up into red features at some of the extremes here. So this gives you a way to describe exactly what, in this case, what the time, the milliseconds time down to the surface below. Okay, so and I can take that out, and so this is what we have in terms of horizon. And the next step that we're going to take is going to be looking at the okay, pause, and as you can see, we have the horizon done in this gridded way. I'm now going to do a little bit of a switch to look at and show basically how diagonal horizon picks can be used. One of the things that I can show you that we sometimes do in picking these features is to put the addition of the square areas that are largely north, inline, and cross line. Here we can put in lines that correspond to diagonal features here. So one of the things that I put into place was actually using random lines. The first random line is in the direction heading approximately northwest, and that there is then a random line which is in the northern eastern direction. And one can use the same kind of steps down here in the player, in which an increment of 7 was used in order to get those distances which come more closely spaced as they go through the grid. So I showed you an example that you can also use those lines using the interpretation window. You can actually see these kinds and actually do the picking in these diagonal directions if one chooses. We can see that as we look and zoom in to these particular features, you can see that the picks from the horizons are individual points as they distributed over the area. Next, we're going to look at surface and features, which will be a smooth surface across this whole area. So the way that we would like to do this is to take this feature. I'm going to just, I've got the flat rock horizon grid that we provided with earlier. And what we're going to be looking at is a form to use to end up with a surface. This over here, this blue sort of shell-like feature, looks like it's for making surfaces. So I'm going to click on that, and we're going to end up with this. It's a make edit surface, it's called. And it is sometimes when this hasn't been used before, it will be blank, and sometimes I'll show you at the end that it can be beneficial to clear the data when you want to do something, a different surface process. Okay, so under the main input, which will be the horizons with their picks, are going to be up here. So this is going to be the input to that. It's a blackened surface, and I can come up. So I pick it and I come up and I press the arrow. So it puts the flat rock horizon grid in. It's not really necessary to put something in here. There are a number of other choices. However, I'm going to use the automatic, which will create a boundary around the data. And I want to come down and I want to put a boundary around that area. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to play. You can play 3 in there, or 1 or 2 or 0 or more in a variety of ways. Okay, the way we're going to apply this is I'm going to go and hit OK. And now we see a couple of things here. One, all of the yellow-green features in the upper part are showing there, but I can take those out. And now this looks like a different kind of surface. Just as we found earlier, we might want to take this surface so that it can be seen through the seismic. So I'm going to go in and take Z out. Now I could look at it a little bit with the seismic surfaces that you have. Notice that it is continuous. It is not, it's not a feature with just individual points, but rather a smooth surface. And it also has contour lines from it. Now, this is a nice way to show the data. Again, we have a color issue, and we can do things with color in just the same way. Notice that down here is flat rock horizon grid. It really probably ought to be turned right now into a surface grid. So I'm planning to go to Info. I want to put, instead of this, I want surface. And the space. And we also want to look at colors. Again, we'll go to the local color table, and we'll go to the second one of these. And I have to move that up a little bit to work with it, and I'm going to do an OK. And now I have that same surface that we're seeing in shape as we look at it is also has contours, and it has colors, which make it very, very easy. Okay, so if we have this, we can look at it and enjoy it. We can also have the potential to make these things have a little more amplitude some vertical exaggeration on these. Sometimes that makes it easier to hear some of these or to be able to see features that you might be seeing and might be interesting in some places in this database. So this really represents the conclusion of the horizons and surfaces for this particular area. Thank you.